Can you imagine that? It's the first time that in my life I see that in Congo there is a peaceful transfer of power, and not in the United States.
No, in Como is not a peaceful transfer. Sorry.
It's peaceful.
Yeah.
What I mean by peaceful is
That's another
no.
discussion.
What I mean by peaceful is no. There's no violence. You see what I mean?
Well,
That's crazy. That's
yeah.
crazy.
But Keisha, one thing that you said, two words that you said, Mr. Tech, is it Mr. What is it again? Also, Mr. Tech,
Master Electronic.
Master Electronic. I'm sorry, first I'm meeting you. But one thing that you guys said is about power. Power is when, if you want to slap somebody with your open hands, right? The impact is not gonna be as strong. But when you put all your fingers and you put it together, now it's a fist, and the same strength would hurt more, and you have more power for it, right? Power coming to concentration. Donald Trump is an example of somebody who was able to reach out to a number of people. You say the enablers, there are people beyond him who saw an opportunity for power.
Yep.
And they allowed him to move forward because they were benefiting. And everybody would tell you that the Republican Party, maybe until just a few days ago, they benefited from the power that Trump gave to them. But, Master Electronic, you also talked about the internet. If you think about it, the internet was decentralized when we got started, right? Everybody was in their garage trying to plug into a network and then create relevance from the fact that we created the first network. Today, we talk about platforms because everybody has to go through those platforms in order for them to play. So you come back to the same thing, power, right? Now, we get the dividend of that power because you might just get a little bit of the power of YouTube. How do you know that YouTube is powerful? Just count the billion of users they have, right? Yeah. And by just aligning yourself with that, you might just get a million for your own, right? So you're playing with a powerful player and you concentrate. The one thing that I would say is that you also have laziness. It's a lazy approach to actually want to actually align yourself with a powerful person so that you could get benefits. And usually when you go with the lazy option, you might also obtain things that you don't like, right? Because you don't control the situation. Same thing with technology. Laziness is that we don't create our own platform to communicate. We tag along with one that has already our solutions. And then after that, we realize that there's plenty of stuff we don't like. But the truth is that, we didn't come up with our own solution. We tagged along because it was easy. And we play into the power system that is already at place, making them even more powerful. The beauty here is that the history of the internet is not just finished yet. We're still writing it. Mm-hmm. And every day we make a choice on where we want to play and how we want to play, right? When Microsoft wanted to actually put licenses, Linux decided to be open source, right?
Yeah.
And the battle was won, finished. Everybody knew that Microsoft was the big winner, right? But then out of the open source platform, you have a Google that emerged that is 10 times bigger than Microsoft in terms of footprint, right? But they had to sacrifice because everything that Google was offering for a while was free, even when they didn't have that much money. And it was not lazy. They could have played in the power structure of a big player, but they decided to go with a route of their own, and they create a reality that works for them, and by extension started working for other people, right? I come back to a discussion that we're having right now. We all have choices on how we build platforms where we want our voice to be heard, right? You can create music, Kaysha, or you can decide to play somebody else's music on your show, right? It's all a choice. You produce content, you can build your own platform. We can create our own space where at the beginning we might not have so many people, right? But because we are addressing the need of a specific audience, we start creating and we would not have to rely on being censored by this and that and that. And to me, that's the whole dynamic. Everything that we say are kind of put it to that frames. Politics or not, you have power. If you want to Donald Trump, I have a lot of Congolese for Trump, for example, in the United States that actually sent me a lot of pamphlets. I don't want to announce my political colors, but then the argument that they were giving is that is gonna be able to give you opportunity to making investments and all that stuff. They were looking at that as shortcuts to make a benefit or gain but they don't want to do the hard job of creating their own narrative, right? But then now those people find themselves with an image of a person that they sold to me who's sending people in the capital, right? And they didn't imagine, because the power is in his hands, right? And we have a choice to make. One thing also that I want to say, maybe this is kind of derive the conversation. The internet, for example, today is facing a crossroad. And you saw that with the Trump government when they decided to ban Huawei.
TikTok,
and TikTok. Basically, you now see a split between the internet of the American and the internet of the Chinese, because when you go to China, they also ban some American product where you cannot have Facebook and stuff. And America is doing the same thing. And China has about 1 billion users because all the citizens of China are in their social media. The state controls social media. And then you have the rest of the world. And now, one thing that I started thinking about when they talked about Huawei is if remember in England, they wanted to buy Huawei equipment, and the US went and told them, hey, don't make a deal with those guys. Otherwise, we won't be able to make sure that your information is secure. Which means that if you are a Huawei consumer, you might find yourself at odds with some technology, and they might ban you from being able to connect. So it looks like we're getting to a point where we might have a split internet.